All right, everybody. Thanks for coming back and checking out another swim lesson. This swim lesson is with a new athlete, different athlete, and it was interesting because we were on track with something, and all of a sudden, mid-lesson, I was looking at some swim video during it, and something wasn't clicking. I was getting really frustrated because the things that we were trying to change wasn't changing, so we totally abandoned what we were trying to work on because you'll see. So let's get into it. So this lesson happened a couple weeks ago, and we'll just watch it through. Good swimmer. This person swims workouts. We'll keep watching it through. This person swims workouts, I don't know, 130 to 120 type of pace for like threshold swimming. Faster swimming, probably under 40 seconds. So pretty good swimmer, becoming a lot better. But this is the beginning. So these are just videos that were taken in the very beginning of the warm-up. And so right away you can see things that are happening. Right here, the first one, you can see how this left arm is pulling wide. The right arm here is going to be across that midline. Definitely a demonstration that balance is not ideal. You can again see that feet are over here, head is over here. So again, you're just trying to identify what is happening within the stroke that you can improve upon and things that are creating limitations. So this was the first thing that I saw that was definitely an issue that we needed to work on. So here we are. This is the side view. Again, very much during the warm-up. You can see this person kind of moving through, not swimming too quick, but we'll play it a couple times here. This in normal speed. But again, this is very much during the warm-up that we're working through. So right away, what we'll look at is first drag. This is the first thing that I identified pretty quickly, that right arm. Look how far it's moving down before he's even getting into that setup phase. And then when he does look at that setup phase, first of all, just look at the straight arm. Very much in a straight arm. Tons of drag. The propulsion he's pushing is more down this direction than back. So that right arm not doing a lot of good things for him. That left arm comes in. Look how it flops in. How it enters almost elbow first. Look at that drop right there. Hand pops up. You want to hold a good arm there. But you can see elbow very much pointed straight down. And again, looking at the power phase, that angle should be in that 100 degrees, 90 degrees, and it's probably more in the 140 to 150. So this angle here, very too much open, putting a lot of water straight down and not trying to set that catch up very well. Way over rotated on this side. Also, he kind of gets it back together, but still, like when you're looking at the actual point in which he's catching here, he's got about 5 to 6 inches before that arm really breaks into there. So not really a great catch. But then looking at that right arm, I mean, look at the drag that he's creating through here. I mean, this arm should be right in line with the shoulder. He's just kind of letting that thing drop, sitting out, hanging out, not creating much through that. So that, again, just looking at the drag to that right arm, huge area of opportunity just for increasing speed without even working on propulsion. So here we are again during the warm-up. This is another angle that we shot during the swim lesson, is him coming head on in the beginning, and again looking at this, what does it look like from the front? Because the front, you're looking at drag, you're looking at direction of propulsion. So we'll watch that again. You can see that right arm that we were watching before, just like the amount of drag that he's creating through that. But let's slow it down. So right arm, that drag arm's reaching through, definitely crossing the midline. I mean, look at this. Left arm is here, right arm is here. Good angle through the right arm, but what we saw a little too late. But when you're watching that right arm come through, this is a great shot. Like this is directly in front. And when you're looking at, you want to be swimming through a box, right? You're swimming through a box, and anything below that box is a drag. And so you can see that this right arm, with how far down he's reaching, look at that arm. I mean, look at this. I mean, there's so much resistance being created. And also look at his body position, how much it's torqued to the side as he moves through that. So when you're looking at drag tremendously being increased with that right arm, wait for it. So he's not even doing much, it's dragging, but look at that straight arm. So much resistance being created, not a very effective pull, very stressful on the shoulders. But again, look at the whole body position as it torques through, so not a lot of great balance. And two, when you're pulling off to the side like that, remember that you are telling your body which direction you're going to go by the direction your arms are moving. So when he's taking that right arm and he's pulling it very much to the side, you can see how the body is over-rotated. It's very confused and it doesn't know which direction it wants to go. So again, when you're trying to create forward motion and you're pulling off to the side and your body's moving either direction, this is a huge area again for improvement. But then look at, again, now watch the other arm. So that left arm comes in right here, you can see it, and again crossing the midline. And you're wondering, why is it crossing the midline? It's because that right arm is pulling wide, it's off balance, and so that left arm, when it's coming in here, of course it's going to cross that midline, because everything you're telling your body is to go one direction. And so that's essentially what you're seeing as he moves through that. So a lot of opportunity for someone who's already swimming quite well. You can also too, again, when he's kicking, look at that kick, right? You can see here and here more drag that's created. And that's something that we see a lot when you're getting underwater video, is somebody can clean up their stroke and get a lot quicker by improving drag. Because when you're trying to go through water and there's so much resistance in water, is that even if you don't make a lot of improvements off the bat with propulsion and high elbow and all of that, improving drag, you can see a lot of improvements through that. So we'll keep watching that slow motion. Look at that. It's just a lot of off balance. Look how much he's over rotated on this side. So these are all from the warm up, and we're going to get into the next steps. So the first thing that I wanted to address was the drag. I've been talking about it. So the first thing we did, we threw the snorkel on and we went through single arm number one. And single arm number one is one that we're addressing with keeping the arm up here for balance and then working through the catch through here. And so we were not talking about catch. We were talking more about with this arm balancing. When you're coming in with this arm, just say this arm for example, you're reaching, but you're keeping it in line with the shoulder. Because again, we were addressing drag. We weren't using single arm for a mode of improving propulsion. So moving through this, we were talking about keeping that arm up, not having it drop so much. Again, we weren't talking about propulsion with this. We were talking about better body position, better decreasing drag as we were moving through that. So something was going on with the stroke, and this is where I was thinking, no matter what we're working on with the drag reduction, there's something going on. And this video here shows you the disconnect, and I'll play it for you so you can watch it. Is, the one thing that you're looking at through this is, one, like the left elbow, yes, like we know that thing is dropping and that's creating a disconnect. But what you're seeing is like this very much two part of the stroke. And you're seeing the hips being secondary to the pull. And so what was happening is he was pulling and then he was rotating. And you always want to think about starting the stroke from the hips, starting the stroke from the torso, because that rotation will create the rotation through the arm, through the catch. That'll help you increase distance for stroke if you are really rotating those hips forward. And so what you can see here is that when he's swimming, I'll play it one more time, normal speed, and see if you can see that hiccup. That always comes off the breath. And some of it does come down back to that left elbow collapsing, because you can see that if you do drop that elbow, which is happening through here, you can see that breakage in the elbow, in this left elbow through here, won't allow that left arm to get into position to then create the stroke. But what was also happening too is still like he was mainly trying to muscle the stroke from the pull, and you can see how that would create way too much of a front quadrant stroke through here. You can see that because both arms are almost touching. Like there's a catch-up that's happening. And that's not because he was trying to do a catch-up stroke. It was more because that left elbow was dropped. And so that's where the lesson definitely took a turn, where we stopped really focusing in on the drag reduction and we went more to core usage, torso usage through rotation. Because again, like you can see just this very much of a disconnect pulling through, not much there, but then coming off of that, the rotation is not utilized to its fullest. So we took a step back and we went on a couple different drills that I'll show you. So the first thing we started with was a connection kicking. And the point of this is not to drive propulsion from the kick. The main point of it was to feel that side-to-side transfer from one side to the next. So all we talked about was transfer from one side, transfer to the next, and you're starting everything from the hips and the torso. And we would do 25 kick down, freestyle back, and I would just say, don't swim with your arms, swim with your hips, swim with your torso, drive it from that, and to see how that connected. And this drill right away, after the first 2 or 3 50s, he said, I can feel a big difference with my power transfer moving forward. So right away, it was really effective. Then the next drill that we went to was single arm number 2. Because remember, single arm number one is when the arm is up here for balance and you're working through the pull through here or the drag reduction through here. And single arm number 2 is when you keep the arm by the hip. And this is a very difficult drill to do. I would definitely recommend you doing it with a snorkel, because we were focusing on this with connection of setup and pull with the rotation to their side, and really connecting one unit moving together and working through that. And as you watch through, it takes a lot of work. Again, this is a very difficult drill for people to move through, but the biggest thing that we're working on is that snapping and originating the stroke from the hips. You can see through here. And so again, we would do drill down, free back, drill down, free back, and just working on that connection of power and that setup and pull to happen together. And that's essentially what we were shooting for. And again, from the kicking to single arm number 2, the progression was really helping. And you could see it with the freestyle where there was a single transfer. There wasn't a 1-2 effect. It was pull, rotate, and the speed was definitely improving as we were moving through that. So 2 drills right off the bat really helped with that power transfer from the hips and the torso. And then the last thing, we just finished up with some freestyle, where I said I want you to think about the 2 things we really focused on. One, the reduction of drag through the arms out the front, being very narrow, not dropping. And the second thing too was just swimming with the hips and the torso. And we'll watch this. It's not very long, unfortunately, but you can see how the body's really moving as one. I know the video's not very long, I'm sorry about that, but you can see here that what we were focusing on through here is the catch and setup and the hip coming together. Okay, like these are the 2 things that we were really focusing on, is connecting the 2 together. And you know, when we started with those baselines, when he was swimming the 25 moderate, because when we do a swim lesson, we do the warm-up, where I get a lot of the footage and filming and notes, and then we do 25 easy, 25 moderate, 25 fast. And we're recording stroke count and speed between the 2. And when he was swimming the 25 moderates, it was around like 18 seconds maybe for that. But what we saw was that the moderate, he was taking less strokes, which they matched up to 2, where the stroke count was the stroke rate was actually faster, but he was taking less strokes, and the speed was actually getting quicker. So easier effort, less strokes, but still maintaining a very consistent rhythm where he wasn't over gliding. So this was a really good lesson, and I would say the biggest takeaway from this is drag reduction, still massively important to think about. Reduce the drag, be narrow. You cannot be a massive surface with arms out here, arms down there, or you're making it hard on yourself. And 2, remember, acceleration starts from the hips and the torso, and that acceleration through here helps accelerate the shoulder and the arm to help distance per stroke. So hope you found the video helpful. Thanks a lot for watching.